Pardon the interruption. I'm Mike Wilbon. Terrible news, Tony. Monopoly has removed the thimble from its game. What's your favorite piece?
Tony Kornheiser. Side piece.
Oh, funny man now.
That's funny
man.
You know who laughed out loud? Jeff laughed out loud at that.
Funny man.
No, I thought that was pretty good.
At side piece?
I remember the thimble, but honestly, it's been so long since I played.
It's out of the culture.
I don't remember the other thing.
It's out. It was the rage 120 years ago. It's out.
It's still a good game if you give it a chance. Okay. Welcome to PTI, boys and girls. In today's episode, trade rumors, bullpen relocation, and an angry Terrell Owens. But we begin today with a report by our colleague Ed Werder that Tony Romo is expecting to be released by the Dallas Cowboys rather than traded. In that same report, Romo expresses the belief that he can start 2 or 3 more seasons. Now, Romo will be 37 next season. Wilbon, do you see the Cowboys releasing Tony Romo?
Sure, yes. Yeah, Tony Romo wants, and I think just on seniority and the way he's comported himself, not just with the Dallas Cowboys, but as a member of the NFL, I think he deserves that chance. Just release him. He's not in your plans anymore. And release him.
You can't trade him because nobody will
trade him. They've already done that.
Nobody will trade him.
No one's biting on the trade.
Right.
So you release him, and then I think 15 teams will be interested in Tony Romo because this is a time in which there are not enough quarterbacks to go around.
And I agree. And the thing about it is they won't trade for him because he breaks his bones all the time, because he's brittle. But you put him out on the open market, and he's going to have a lot of people angling for him. Here is the problem. He breaks his bones all the time. So when he says he can start 2 or 3 more seasons, no, he can't. He can't finish 2 or 3 more seasons because he goes out there and the first game he's out there, something breaks in half.
I know all these guys. This starts with Tom Brady. They all think they can play till 50 because they're in this wonderful shape. They are.
Well, Tom Brady has shown he can play.
But Tom Brady,
he's the exception.
Doesn't get hit either. His team is smart enough to put a line out there and a philosophy around him. It doesn't allow him to get hit. He gets hit like 5 times a year.
The Dallas Cowboys have a great offensive line.
Okay, but the Dallas Cowboys, but he's gotten hit. Romo plays a different style of football. Tony Romo, you would say, is a better athlete, just an athlete than Tom Brady. And so he thinks he can do the things that he wants to do in his career where he didn't get hurt, but now he's out for weeks and months.
See, you know what? I could see a really good team. And Denver is a perfect spot because I think they can go to the Super Bowl with Tony Romo if he stays healthy, one of the biggest ifs in football.
Yeah.
But I think if you looked at teams like Cincinnati or Baltimore, Kansas City that have established starting quarterbacks, why wouldn't you hire Tony Romo in case something went wrong? Why does he have to start from day one? Why exactly? Sure. Why wouldn't you keep somebody that good around when you needed him? Unless Tony Romo doesn't want that. I don't. Yeah.
He's going to want to start and play every snap.
Does he go to Chicago?
God help him if he does. Look, I hope he does, but for his sake, no.
Right.
Because they don't have the team built for Tony Romo to go into the playoffs, much less deep into the playoffs. Enough of your NFL, Tony. Basketball's on the stage now. James Harden and Russell Westbrook were atop the marquee again last night. Each recorded a triple-double. Each scored 35. Westbrook won, Harden lost, which has to count for something, right? Tony Westbrook has 27 of these things, which puts him close to on pace to catch Oscar in 1962. Harden in Mike D'Antoni's offensive system has totally remade himself and his team, which a lot of folks think could reach the conference finals. As we head into the All-Star break, Mr. Kornheiser, who deserves to be named the NBA's MVP?
All right, stay with me for a while because I'm going to draw a distinction between the most outstanding player and the most valuable player.
Okay.
To me, Russell Westbrook is the most outstanding, most spectacular, most compelling player in the league this year.
I agree with you.
But, and here is the but that is coming, Russell Westbrook's team has won 32 games. James Harden's team has won 40. To me, most valuable also implies you have an effect on the people around you.
And the league.
If I have the vote, my vote is for James Harden.
I'm afraid mine is too at this point. Thankfully,
Why are you afraid?
You don't have to vote at this point. Because I have felt that Westbrook does something that is harder. Westbrook has less around him, particularly since Enes Kanter selfishly slammed his hand into a chair and took himself out of the team for a couple of months. And so Westbrook has those 32 wins, Tony. They demand Russell Westbrook's best, most fiery self at all times. Harden can have slightly off night, even though they lost last night, and his team can win. Westbrook's can't. I think I would vote for Harden now. Thankfully, that ballot is not due in until like April 10th or something like that, because I do have a vote. And I'm going to take this seriously.
Both teams lost very important players. Kevin Durant is more important than anybody else that was lost. But Dwight Howard was relatively important. Here's what James Harden is doing, okay? He's averaging 11 assists a game. There was no bigger ball hog in the league, including Westbrook, than Harden. 11 assists a game. That's +4 over last year.
That's a stunning
He is +2 in rebounds. Unlike Westbrook, he has remade his game in a different way, and his team is more the beneficiary to me, which is why I vote for him. We'll stay with the NBA. The Boston Celtics and the Chicago Bulls will play tonight in Chicago in each team's last game before the interminable All-Star break. The teams collide as trade rumors engulf them both. It is said that the Bulls may be in the market to trade Jimmy Butler, their leading scorer. And the Celtics have the Nets' #1 draft choice, which looks like it might be the #1 overall pick. Wilbon, is this a trade you would make?
If I'm the Bulls, no. Jimmy Butler's my best player. He's
Where
the
are you
reason
going with
that
him?
people still mostly fill that arena to see that team play. Him and Dwayne Wade.
Is there an upside with that team?
Tony, it doesn't appear to be this season.
Right.
I still think those two guys can figure out a way to get to the playoffs, even in the 7th spot, which avoids Cleveland in the first round, and they own Toronto, which could finish as high as 2nd. I don't know about the Wizards in Boston. But if I'm the Boston Celtics, yes, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Depending on what I got to give up, Jimmy Butler, let me just mention this stat. The Bulls with Jimmy Butler are 8-6 against LeBron James in the regular season since 2012. Tony, I mean, no one is a LeBron stopper, none of that stuff. But if you're the Boston Celtics and you know you want to go against that team in the conference finals, you want Jimmy Butler. Yes, he's an all-star.
Jimmy Butler is a high-value asset.
Yes.
He's a really known player. To me, again, and if I'm Boston, I make the trade in a heartbeat, because even if it's the #1 overall pick, who is that going to be exactly? Is anybody sure?
Malik Monk, who's
it's not Anthony Davis, and it's not Steph Curry. No. In other words, if they were out there, and I know Steph Curry wasn't drafted anywhere near that, but if you knew he was going to be this good, he would be the overall #1. So I'm going to make that pick to take the bird in hand.
If you're Boston,
Yesterday I talked about the fact that there's Cleveland, there's everybody else. And yesterday I said by getting Serge Ibaka that it seemed to me Toronto had vaulted to the top of everybody else. If you got Jimmy Butler, you're way ahead. Yeah. You're way ahead. And the team that's getting left behind is the Washington Wizards. Right? If this happens, they get left behind.
You don't consider the return to the lineup of Ian Mahinmi?
I don't, but maybe I don't speak for everybody else.
Otherwise, they don't have a bench, and they do seem to be getting left behind in terms of the acquisitions.
Yeah.
If you're the Bulls, do you get rid of Jimmy Butler?
If I get rid of Jimmy Butler to go for the #1 overall, I have said that whole era, the Rose, that's
Tibbs,
done. We're
Butler,
done. We're done now.
Noah, all of them.
And maybe do it.
Very sad to me. For a while, Terrell Owens was able to calmly deal with not being voted in the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
A day and a half.
No, it was longer than that.
2 days.
But no longer, Tom. T.O. says he's lost all respect for a selection process that is allowed to include examination of his character, whether he undermined teams with his behavior. Quote, just because I had some disagreements with some coaches or players, that doesn't mean I was a locker room cancer as they would have it. Close quote. Tony, does T.O. belong in the Hall of Fame right now or not?
Once again, bear with me as I draw a distinction if I'm a voter. I'm not a voter. You were a voter. I never was. But I would say that I draw a distinction between someone of bad character and someone who was a bad teammate. I could point, and you could point, to people like Lawrence Taylor and Charles Haley. And we could give chapter and verse that would indicate perhaps they had flawed characters.
Yes.
But I would still vote for them because, to me, that is totally off the field. If you tell me someone's a bad teammate, if they drove a wedge between factions on a team, if they required such special treatment that they made a quarterback insane or a coach insane, to me that's still on the field, and I would not vote for T.O.
Well, there are clearly people who have taken that position in that room.
How about you?
I took that position at one time, particularly as it pertained to Donovan McNabb and the Philadelphia Eagles. And it seems like they should have made more than one trip to the Super Bowl had that not happened. But, Tony, I think there's this exception, even as I believe what you just stated. There are times when your statistical contribution, and here I go now with analytics, and you know I steer clear of that as often as possible.
Well, it's statistical.
I think there are times when your individual contributions make you eligible, and particularly with the position of receiver. We're not talking quarterback here. I think they make you, and they overwhelm this other distraction you've been to your team.
Really?
And I think T.O., I had a conversation with T.O. I ran into him, and he said, tell me the truth. Would you have voted for me? And he said, I know you've been critical. I said, yes, I would have voted for you.
Well, it's good for him that he didn't run into me, because I wouldn't vote for him. And he will get in the Hall of Fame, and he should get in the Hall of Fame. But not yet.
Not now?
To me, not no, because I do think that he was a bad teammate. You stood for Donovan
McNabb
time and time again. And by the way, T.O. can say whatever he wants.
He was in San Francisco. He was in Dallas. He's still by his quarterback. Your boy, that's my quarterback.
By then, he had sown the seeds of discontent. Right. The Chicago Cubs are one of the last teams to have their bullpens right down the baseline in foul territory, but not for long. Citing, quote, player safety, the Cubs are moving their bullpens to underneath the left field bleachers. Of course, the Cubs will put seats in the area. Yeah. The bullpens are vacating for player safety. Well, on Wrigley's your account. Are you for this or against it?
Against it. I'm for things that destroy or take away from the aesthetic appeal of Wrigley Field. That's my thing. I've been going there since I was 9 years old.
So you're not for things that do that?
I'm not for things that do that. Anything that takes away from that, I'm against that. And you're going to put this bullpen. Now, first of all, if you're a pitcher, you can't even get used to the conditions. Suppose it's incredibly windy or cold or sunny or something. You can't even simulate the conditions that you're about to go into because you're inside. No, Major League Baseball should be against this, and you can't have a window to the world of the bullpen. I am for everything else that has been done very carefully with great consideration by the Ricketts family and Cubs executives to Wrigley Field. I'm for all of it. The new scoreboards, the additions, the aesthetic changes, all of it. First time, I'm against this.
This is interesting to me because this is really old school where the bullpens are so close to the field. And
only 4 ballparks out of 30.
You take a line drive down there and you get killed.
But you got to put somebody extra.
Well, you have to do that. You've got to put people who are watching the backs all the time. So I'm okay if you move a bullpen, but you got to keep the bullpen in the light. You've got to keep it outdoors. You shouldn't have to watch the game on TV to know it's time to go to the bullpen. So I don't know the geography there. I don't know if there's room anywhere else and what they would have to do.
There's no other room.
I tend to find myself against this, but I will say this about baseball, and there's been big changes in the last 20 years in baseball with all the netting, and the netting's there for a reason. I mean, safety is a big deal. These line drives are coming at 90 miles an hour.
Tony, then you know what? Put the bullpen out at Murphy's. I know you don't know what that means.
I do not.
But people who are watching in the 312 and the 847, they will know what this means.
It should be outdoors. It should be outdoors. Let's take a break. Coming up, is Duke suddenly the best college basketball team in the country?
Might not have all your faculties if you've been coming in from Murphy's. Is snoozing on the bus a good look or a bad look for Phil?
It's a great look. It's a great look. He looks homeless. Some people would argue he should be. Time for the game that comes close to insulting our intelligence, something or nothing. Mike, what's the first
Let's get the first one, Tony. Something or nothing. Andrew Wiggins dunked last night.
You will see the dunk coming up. The dunk is nothing. Everybody in the NBA can dribble in and can dunk. What is something is the way Wiggins has been playing recently. Since Zach LaVine tore his ACL, Wiggins is averaging 31 points. He's gone over 40 2 times in a row, plus he's shooting 54%. The problem is Minnesota in those 7 games is 3-4. I would tell you, Mike, that Minnesota is the most disappointing team in the entire NBA this year.
Wow. I will tell you this. I agree. Andrew Wiggins' progression is something, even though the team hasn't yet caught up with him. You losing Zach LaVine hurts as well. But, Tony, a dunk anymore? Maybe you and I are just old men, on a cane
and you know
or
what?
a crutch.
Well, I'm not on that. And this is no country for old men anymore.
I guess it isn't.
It is not.
But the dunk was nice, but it's probably we've known since he was in high school he was going to be a great
Everybody can dunk.
Like his dad. Something or nothing, Duke's 6th straight win.
This is not just something. This is bigly something. The 6 in a row includes 3 ranked teams at Notre Dame, North Carolina, and at Virginia last night. Pay careful attention, Mike, to what I'm saying. Right now, Duke is the best team. Right now, today, is the best team in college basketball in the entire country. You go through 6 in a row in the ACC where there's 1 million ranked teams, blew UVA out in the second half. Big deal.
It's a kind of a little deal. It's kind of a little something. This is Duke. They don't play for the regular season. I know they got to get ready, and there's a lead up to this. And the way you get to a #1 seed, which is usually the easiest path to the Final Four, is to play well now, to get yourself going, to build your resume. These are impressive victories, but it's Duke. And it's also early.
But they get
We're
their
still
gear
in
back.
mid-February, and there are times to get into a little funk.
And that's why I said right
little
now,
something.
and only right now, do I think they're the best
I
college
knew you were
team.
going to jump on that Duke bandwagon as soon as I saw that game last night. Something or nothing, Vince Young's comeback.
Vince Young is now 33 years old. The last time he played in the NFL was 2011.
Long time ago.
He hired Lee Steinberg, who used to be a very big deal agent. Some people thought Jerry Maguire was patterned after Lee Steinberg. I'm just going to tell you, there's a lot of water over the dam for both of these guys. Now, there's a spring league, you know, with former football players. There's Canada. I would root for Vince Young to get another shot, but on balance, I'd have to tend this is nothing.
I think this is something as well. At 33 years old, he could go up and play. Talks apparently have begun with Saskatchewan. Good. Go play in the CFL, which I think we both agree is the closest thing you're going to get. It'd be like a minor league. And you know what? There is precedent for people going to Canada and coming to the NFL and being great Warren Moon.
Not after they sat out for 6 years.
That's a long time. That's why I said a little something. A little something. I'd like to see Vince Young do this, wouldn't you?
Yes, but
I tell you what,
years out.
You know what? What's going to happen first? Tiger make the cut in the major or Vince Young make an NFL team?
Neither is going to happen ever.
Ooh.
No, Tiger will make the cut in a major first.
Something or nothing. Phil riding a bus.
Okay, now look at this. This is a picture of what? This is Phil Jackson riding a public bus. They don't have throne chairs on New York City public buses. He's a public bus in a regular seat. He's not taking Uber Black like Wilbon. And look at those irradiated
When was the last
shoes.
time that you, Mr. New York, took a city bus?
I don't remember. When was the
So
last
you're
time?
not of the people.
No, and I don't claim to be. When was the last time you took a bus in the United States of America?
A few years ago, I was on 6th Avenue.
What happened?
It was raining. I didn't have an umbrella. And the tough part was I didn't know how to pay for it. It's not like it was when you and I were young.
Well, you'd hand money
you got on, you put coins in a jar, essentially. I didn't know how to ride the bus. I'm pathetic.
I think this is something, and I think this may be the bus that Phil threw Carmelo under.
That's cold.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, only in New York can you even do that.
Something
you
or
know,
nothing.
people didn't even know in New York who Phil was.
I love Phil Jackson. This is big. Is it
great.
something or nothing?
It's something.
Absolutely. That's it. Let's take one last break. And he appears to be asleep and homeless. Still to come, will Wilbon pick against Gonzaga for the third time in a row?
No way.
Who's that kid you like there?
Come on, the point guard,
What's
man.
his name?
Williams Goss. You
don't even know his name.
I just said his name.
What?
And did Draymond Green deserve to get tossed last night?
As they say in Hamilton, what's my name?
Williams Goss.
What's his first name?
He didn't need a first name. He's known by two names. I gave you two names. Williams Goss.
Yeah.
Huh?
And now, insurance-minded speeches from Geico.
It's a common expression, don't look a gift horse in the mouth. However, what if the horse's mouth is filled with useful insurance tools? This is the exact case with the Geico app. Yes, the app is free and therefore a gift horse. However, look inside the app and behold, emergency roadside assistance, digital ID cards, bill pay. Get the Geico app. Look it in the mouth. Get amazing services. Thank you.
Happy time, people. Happy 75th birthday, Richard Williams. His manner was off-putting. His style was in your face. And he took a lot of shots, many of them completely deserved. And he should be congratulated for producing two of the greatest tennis players in American history, who at preposterously advanced ages are still playing great tennis and are still crowd favorites wherever they go.
When they were like 11 and 9, he said Venus is going to be great, she's going to win championships, and Serena's going to be better. He said that when they were like 11 and 9.
And he's right. Happy anniversary, Alex Rodriguez. On this day 13 years ago, Bud Selig approved your trade to the Yankees. A-Rod's Yankee career was checkered with drug use and inevitably discouraging comparisons to Derek Jeter. This weekend, A-Rod will become an instructor at Yankee Spring Training Camp in Tampa for 3 days.
A-Rod should be on TV all the time. A-Rod, Pete Rose, and Frank Thomas should have a traveling show. I would want to listen to them all the time.
Happy trails, Draymond Green. Late in the second quarter last night, it appeared that both Kevin Durant and Draymond Green fouled Boogie Cousins on his way to the basket for an improbable layup. When the foul was assessed to Green, Green went predictably insane and was ejected. The Warriors were up by 2 at that point. Without Green, the Warriors went on a 22-0 run in the third quarter.
42-15 quarter, but Draymond Green's the emotion of that team.
Yes.
Even when he gets kicked out on a night like that, that's an important, integral element of the Golden State Warriors, and they all know it.
He got 2 technicals.
He can't get.
He got 10. Now, why did they lose the championship last year? What is one of the reasons?
Game 5, he couldn't play.
Are we heading down that path?
Could be. They can't afford that. I don't care how good they are.
Do you think
they have to have Draymond Green?
Can he stop himself from doing that?
I think he can.
No errors today. Let's go to the big finish.
Let's do it.
Anthony Davis says he's here to stay with the Pelicans. Is that a smart decision?
I think it is, and I hope Dell Demps can just build around him. He's a great player. They don't want to see everybody leave small markets. That's no good for the league. Melo is going to replace Kevin Love in the All-Star game. Is he deserving?
That's not the question. It's an All-Star game. It's a show for the fans. He's a star. People want to see him. We can't go a day without talking about this guy.
Bradley Beal?
Jackson.
You don't want Bradley Beal in?
It's a show. Stop. You just don't want me to say this. Maryland beat Northwestern last night. You're still confident you'll make the tournament?
They were hot. They were on fire, particularly Melo Trimble. I'm going to tell you the same thing I would tell you during the Cubs run. I'm hopeful. That's what I'm going to tell you, hopeful. Max Scherzer may not be ready for opening day. He's got that lingering pain from a broken knuckle on his pitching hand. Is that a big deal?
Huge deal. I love Max Scherzer. He's a bulldog. He's the best teammate. He's the most competitive. Who you think the Orchid's going to stop?
Don't go.
They need him. Last one. Gonzaga tries to make it 27-0, hosting San Francisco tonight. You pick them to lose all the time. What?
I'm not going against my man Nigel Williams-Goss. I'm not doing that.
We're out of time. We'll try and do better the next time. I'm Tony Kornheiser.
San Francisco's pretty good too, Tony, but Gonzaga wins. I'm Mike Wilbon. Same time tomorrow, Knuckleheads. Check us out on iTunes.
PTI.